Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Buckeye Weekly Podcast. I'm Tony Gerdeman here, as always, with Tom. Tom, how's it going?
Tony, great news. We get to do another show on safeties in the transfer portal, and we've already done a couple little shows on this topic in general. But Tony, this time I want to do more.
No, just so everybody knows, Tom made a couple of puns there, and I want to point them out and ridicule them. He was talking about we've done some Earl Little shows, safety transfer. Now we're doing a show on Duke transfer Terry Moore, who's in the portal. He's not an Ohio State commit or anything like that. He's a prospect that we want to talk about, a target that we want to talk about, and the two parties could align. But I just wanted to point out so that everybody knows Tom was making a pun there. And if you see him, you should shun him or don't kick him, nudge him forcefully if you should see him out and about at Tractor Supply or wherever. That would be greatly appreciated by me, and I thank you in advance for that. But yes, we are here to talk about Duke safety Terry Moore, who, if you looked for him this year, you would not have seen him because he was out for the season with an ACL tear, tore it in the bowl game in the 2024 season. And so I know you're thinking, like, well, why would you go get a safety who was injured for an entire year? And it's like, well, I mean, hey, Tom, it worked for Lathan Ransom.
It did, yes, yeah. This is not someone who just tore it. He tore it in a bowl game, but he tore it in a bowl game in January of 2025, not the 2025 season. So, now he's fully recovered. Before that injury, he was actually pretty impressive. I know you sort of pulled up the PFF stats on him, but this is someone who has been was sort of a contributor for multiple years for Duke. Actually started his career as a running back, played one season as running back, then flipped over to safety, and was immediately, played 12 games as a sophomore in 2023, 43 tackles, 3.5 tackles for loss, 2.5 sacks, a couple of PBUs. And then as a junior in 2024, really stepped up, 71 tackles, 7 tackles for loss, had a sack, had 4 interceptions, had 6 passes broken up, had a couple forced fumbles. I mean, this is someone who was just kind of doing a little bit of everything. And that's sort of a common theme with what we talked about with Earl Little, because then the interesting question is, okay, if you bring in, they've already got Earl Little, we know that. If you can bring in Terry Moore, then the question is, where do all the pieces fit together? And, Jalen McLean's in this conversation because you figure it's probably 2 safeties and a nickel somewhere in that combination. And, I think we have a sense for where they might all fit if Terry Moore does join the Ohio State defense. But I think the most intriguing thing is you could probably play guys in some different spots, which is what they ultimately want to do.
Yeah, to me, I think they would all fit reasonably well because you could do whatever with whomever. And that's a lot of fun for a defensive coordinator. And they're all basically the same size, 6'1", 199, 196, 195, whatever. Jalen McLean, 6 foot, 200. It's, they're all the same kind of body type and skill set. Now, can any one of the three, who is the best nickel? Who would be the best nickel? I don't know. But in terms of the career of Terry Moore, he was second-team All-American pick last year in 2024 by the Action Network. That's probably Brett McMurphy. So, hey, that's no slouch. No, it's not. Second-team All-ACC selection. 4-time academic All-ACC honoree. So, he's at Duke. He's a smart guy, clearly. And so, he started every game in 2024. He was graded by PFF as having the second highest defense grade among safeties nationally at 90.1. According to PFF, he had the 10th highest coverage rate among safeties nationally. That was 89.2. Had a 46.1 passer rating, allowed after surrendering just 1 touchdown and 407 coverage snaps. He ranked 3rd in the ACC and tied for 21st nationally with the 4 interceptions. Now, Tom, if they can get this guy, and it seems like they're interested, it is notable that they're going after a couple of safeties, and they've landed one in Earl Little, who intercepts the ball. And that's something that they've kind of been missing from their defense. And, if they could get another guy here with 4 interceptions in a season, That's not nothing. It doesn't guarantee that they're going to have 8 combined, or that they would have 8 combined in 2026 or anything like that. But you're getting some guys that you can put into the same spot or different spots and have them do different same things. And I think they would complement each other well, because I don't think this was an either-or situation. It's either Terry Moore or it's Earl Little, because they are versatile. And if you watch Florida State, you can see Earl Little lining up in different spots. Watching a little bit of Terry Moore from 2024, there are times where he's strong safety, where he's the deep safety. There's times where he's, obviously in man coverage and defending a slot. So all of these guys play in multiple defenses. That's what Ohio State will have in 2026. So, going and getting somebody who can do a bunch of different things and who is smart, and you just lost the smartest player in college football, and so you're looking to add some smarts. Tom, to give you an idea of not just how smart he is, but how old he is, I was looking at his 24/7 high school prospect picture. He's wearing he's got a mask on his chin, to give you an idea of how long ago he was doing the camping circuit.
Yeah, boy, that has been a minute. I just watched what was it? Oh, it was the someone on Twitter just posted the jump around at Wisconsin from the first game back in 2021, and how overjoyed everyone was to be back in person. And it was like, oh man, it has been a while since I have felt those feels. But yeah, it is. He has been around a little bit. Smart guy, as you said, and the fact that you're looking at safeties with ball skills. Earl Little, as you said, 4 interceptions last year. Terry Moore, 4 interceptions in 24, the last season that he played. We talked about this on the Earl Little show. 4 interceptions doesn't sound like that many. The last time an Ohio State player had 4 interceptions in the season was Damon Webb back in 2017. So, that's one of those numbers where it doesn't sound like that many, because you think back to Malik Hooker and it's like, well, what did he have, 7? And I mean, he almost had 4 pick sixes. That's nothing. Well, yeah, it turns out that's actually a little bit unique, at least in the Ohio State defense, which is, the Ohio State defense has not been filled with slouches either in terms of defensive production or guys heading off to the NFL. So, guys who have some ball skills like that, that's a really solid addition. And I'm really intrigued by the fact that you guys, Earl Little, we talked about him, the fact that he did grade out reasonably well in coverage, and then Moore also grading out reasonably well in coverage. That just lets you do so many different things in the back end of that defense, where Matt Patricia loves to disguise stuff. You don't want to, how many years did we hear about Ohio State pre-rotating its safeties and giving, you could tell pre-snap exactly what Ohio State was going to do. If you have guys who you can show one thing and you can do whatever else, anyone can play any role back there, man, oh man, does that open you up for, to do some fun and creative things. And it's, depending on your definition of fun, it's, fun for the defense, probably not quite as fun for the offense, but for Matt Patricia, man, oh man, that would be really, really fun. So yeah, it feels like neither of these guys were really household names. This is not bringing in Caleb Downs, but it does feel like you're bringing in, the competition here is not Caleb Downs. The competition here is the other guys who would have been in that safety room this year. In some cases, guys who have subsequently left once it sort of word got around that they were looking at some potential veteran safeties in the portal. And given what, the uncertainty of a couple potential first-time starters, which is what they would have been looking at before, compared to potentially, we know Earl Little, the hay is in the barn. Terry Moore, this is more of a, we'll see. We're keeping an eye on this. We're monitoring this situation. If you can get both of those guys, though, man, that really, I think, raises the floor of that Ohio State secondary for 2026 quite a bit.
Yeah, it allows you to do what we've talked about in the past. You're positionless almost. You're not pigeonholed into anything. If you've got players that can do similar things and be able to do all things, I guess is what I should say. And so if they could land him, I think that would help the defense in that search for that. And we'll see how things go. The Earl Little thing moved pretty quickly. We'll see if anything here happens with Terry Moore the next whoever knows how long. But that will do it from here If you want to go ahead and hit the thumbs up, if you're watching on YouTube, we'd appreciate that. Subscribe to the channel, hit the bell to be notified, because stuff is happening. As you guys see, we are almost like caught up with all of the prospect look aheads, but names pop up here and there every day.
Don't say that.
Names pop up, and we'll want to talk about them and get you guys up to speed and ahead of the curve on some of these guys as well. So, of course, you can continue to support us by 5-star rating and review. Subscribe to the podcast, Buckeye Weekly, Buckeyes tomorrow morning, if you could. We'd appreciate that. And, of course, you can continue to find us at BuckeyeHuddle.com. Thank you all for tuning in, and we'll talk to you all later.